Hey guys, before I get started today, I do, as always, want to give a very special shout out to my newest patron supporters, Englanddg. Thank you so much, as well as Syaoran Li. Thank you both. I really appreciate the support. Without guys like you, I simply couldn't do this. I know I say it every time, but I really appreciate what you guys do for me. Last time on the Anti-Trekker, we finished up Descent Part 1. And next time on the Anti-Trekker, we will start Descent Part 2. But today, I want to take a brief interlude from Descent just to address one quick thing. As most of you, I would hope by now know, this week we started up a Facebook page as well as a Twitter feed. So if you are interested in following me on Facebook or Twitter, the link is below. And as always, I want to give a special thank you to Michael Cawley, who is my director of social media, is his official title. He's the one that set up the Twitter feed and the Facebook page and maintains them for me. And without him, I just couldn't do it. And I so appreciate his help because it's a lot of work. So that way I can just concentrate on, hey, I got a cool message from this guy, let me respond. But he worries about the minutia of making sure everything looks good and is up to date and everything. The thing is that I want to encourage you to follow me on one or the other or both if you prefer. The main reason is that I'm going to be honest with you, my biggest fear in the world is for something like what happened to Lore Reloaded to happen to this channel. In that I don't want this channel to be shut down. And unlike Lore Reloaded, I'm not a large enough channel to where I think YouTube is going to give a crap if I do get shut down and I ask to be reinstated. I hate saying it because I appreciate a lot of what YouTube is, but one thing that YouTube is not is content creator friendly unless you are a very large content creator. I don't know why they are this way, but they simply are, which, like I said, makes no sense to me, but whatever. So I would encourage you to follow me on Facebook and or Twitter so that if something happens, if you do like the content that I put out on this channel, you can find out what's going on, where I'm going to be resetting up or whatever happens. Also, my patrons, obviously, you'll get that information through patron.com. This way, there's multiple avenues to get it. And eventually, when I get the website up and running, hopefully this summer, then we'll be able to consolidate all of that into one central location where you can get all of your Anti-Trekker goodness at one-stop shopping. Speaking of Anti-Trekker goodness, so one thing I thought would be fun to do is if I got an interesting comment or two off of one of the social media platforms, would be to bring it up in a video. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I got a message from Charles through Facebook. And Charles, thank you so much for your message. I obviously did receive it. And here's what Charles had to say.
I love your channel, and I think that you're great. Thumbs up! But I have a burning question. If you died and went to hell, and you were given a choice to either watch Star Wars The Last Jedi or Star Trek Voyager episode Threshold on an endless loop for all eternity, which would you choose?
Wow. That's a tough question, really, if you stop and think about it, because you're talking about a battle between the two worst examples of their respective franchises. Yeah, yes, you could argue that the Star Wars Holiday Special is worse than The Last Jedi. However, the Holiday Special, A, is not canon, and B, at least from a legal perspective, has been stricken from the society in its entirety, to where it's never been legally released on home video. As far as I know, all legitimate copies of it have been destroyed. It simply does not exist except for bootleg copies. Anyway, the Star Wars the Star Wars Last Jedi versus Voyager Threshold is an interesting concept. So let's kind of run down what the two of them are. Now, I know I just did a 27-part review of The Last Jedi, so obviously this is not going to be a review of The Last Jedi and Threshold. But the basic synopsis is The Last Jedi picks up moments after The Force Awakens, in which nothing of much consequence except the fact that almost everybody dies, and Rey continues to be Mary Sue, and Luke is a grumpy old man that equates to doing nothing except for providing a minor distraction at the end, it's a complete waste of film. It's just, yeah. The biggest problem with The Last Jedi is not its production value, not its acting, not its musical score, anything like that. In fact, you could argue that the production value of this film is superb. The John Williams score is wonderful. The acting is actually really good. But the problem with The Last Jedi is the fact that it is purposefully and knowingly undermining the Star Wars canon, undermining the Star Wars legacy, and undermining the Star Wars fans, all for the purpose of pushing a political agenda of far-left social justice. And that just, it makes no sense that they would do that. So I'm not going to get into the details of the plot of The Last Jedi because I just finished that 27-part review. You can check that out if you can suffer through it. When we talk about Threshold, the basic idea of Threshold is that Voyager, of course, is trapped on the other side of the galaxy. Tom Paris comes up with an idea to break the Warp 10 barrier, break infinite speed, so break physics, basically. And he is successful in breaking physics, and in doing so, it transforms him into a space salamander, but it takes a while for the process to take place. He evolves into a space salamander, and as he realizes that he's evolving into a space salamander, I guess he gets horny or something, and so he decides to abduct Captain Janeway and make her travel at Warp 10 with him so that she becomes a space salamander. And then the two of them go to a planet and have sex, and Janeway gives birth to a bunch of salamander babies, and they come and rescue Janeway and Paris, but leave their babies behind. They literally abandon the children of Tom Paris and Catherine Janeway on this planet. And then, miraculously, the Doctor fixes them with no explanation whatsoever. It's all done off screen during a commercial break. And, yeah. I mean, yeah. That's just bad. Oh, it is bad to the core. Now, like The Last Jedi, I would say that if you look at the production value of the episode, it's not bad. It's Voyager had pretty strong visual effects for its day. The acting on the episode was not particularly bad or campy. The performances all around were pretty solid. And the musical score, while not as wondrous as a John Williams soundtrack, not bad. The biggest problem from the technical side of things that Voyager has in trying to compete with Star Wars is the fact that Star Wars has a $250 million budget and a movie and is made over a decade later, so technology is improved for visual effects. So there's really no comparing, not to mention the fact that Star Wars had John frickin' Williams doing the score. So Star Wars really has an unfair advantage there. But I'm not trying to be fair, because the question is about me suffering in hell for all eternity, and I got to watch one of these on an endless loop. So I don't care which one wins on whether it wins on a technicality or not. I want to suffer as little as possible during this eternal torture of watching either the worst Trek or the worst Star Wars. And I know some of you are probably thinking, wait a minute, but the worst of Trek is Discovery, isn't it? Well, Discovery is certainly the worst series on Trek, but Threshold is probably still the singular worst episode of all of Trek. So I had to think about it, because the production value of Star Wars is obviously infinitely better. But on the other hand, as ridiculous, stupid, and incompetent as the Threshold story truly is, it's not insulting. It's not offensive. Except for maybe as insulting to the intelligence. If you know anything about the theory of evolution, you know that this is not it. But it's not insulting as far as it's not trying to say that you are bad because you're a fan of this franchise. It's not trying to push a political agenda. It's not propaganda. It's just crap. Whereas The Last Jedi is propaganda. The Last Jedi is purposefully trying to undermine the legacy of Star Wars, the lore of Star Wars, and the fan base of Star Wars. And so I would honestly have to say that if given a choice of spending eternity watching The Last Jedi on Endless Loop versus Voyager Threshold on Endless Loop, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I would pick Threshold. It's simply not as offensive as The Last Jedi, even though The Last Jedi is prettier to look at. So there you go. That's my worst case scenario of the afterlife situation that involves one of my favorite franchises being horribly, horribly butchered. Well, I survived that, and I hope that you guys enjoyed my little rant or tirade or just silliness for a few minutes today. I do look forward to Descent Part 2 starting on Monday. We'll get through that in just a few days, and then we'll be getting into First Contact, and oh boy, the goodness is going to be going there. And so I really appreciate all of you guys watching the show. For those of you that watch the live streams, thank you so much. If you don't watch the live streams, hey, come hang out with us. I mean, the live streams are nothing formal. We just talk about whatever. And so people throw stuff in the chat, I talk back, and we have a good time. It's actually a lot of fun. And if you're not into that kind of thing, that's fine. And we do them late at night during the week, and then we do them Sunday afternoon. This Sunday is actually going to be a special edition of the live stream because we're going to be talking about Deadpool 2. I am so looking forward to seeing Deadpool 2. So that's going to be a fun-filled night. All right, you guys. Thank you so much, and you take care.
Hit the like button, you will. Likes lead to comments. Comments lead to conversations. Conversations lead to understanding. Go to Patreon and support the anti-trucker you must, if supporting his videos you want. Yes, support his videos. Then listen to this at the end of the videos. You will not